Hello there. In this video, I will be walking through stage 3 of your grand big multimedia projects. But first, a moment to reflect on stage 2. So for the past few weeks, you would have been doing all kinds of pre-production work for your project, sketches, some more research maybe, mood boards, storyboards, scripts, shot lists, maybe lo-fi wireframes, user personas. There's all kinds of different things you could be doing depending on your own specific project. You would have been working on that the past few weeks. Also, you would have met with me, ideally, by this point. We would have met one-on-one, talked about your projects, made sure that you're on a good path, made sure that it aligns with the course, all of that grand old stuff. And it was great to meet with you all, of course. And also, it's good for me to get a sentiment of where students are at, with the semester and stuff. So it's really interesting to see you all now in the 4th semester of this program, nearing the end towards graduation, right? And obviously, at the top of many of your minds is the work placement, as well as getting a job after graduating. And it's great because you're also in this portfolio class at the same time. And I really do feel like I get the sense this semester, maybe it's just because this class is a bit more routine for you since you've been through this process before, but students, I think, are really understanding the significance more of these projects in how they contribute to their portfolio and the importance that they can have in helping them get their work placement or jobs after school, right? It's interesting to think about because since you have these projects that you work on in these 2 courses with me, it allows you to really diversify your portfolio and really show off your own individual personality and skills as a designer, right? Or as a producer or whatever it is that you're working on. If not for these classes, you would all have very similar portfolios of all the same projects. So these projects you're working on here really do become a great opportunity for you to just show yourself, right? And that is such an important part of applying for positions and getting interviews and all that kind of stuff, is just showing who you are. And then ideally finding people who align with you, and then getting in a good position where you feel fulfilled and on a good team and all of that grind old stuff. So that's the pathway I'm trying to get you all on here. And I think that you also have developed and refined your remote work skills as well this time around compared to last semester, because again, you've been through this before. So with all that being said, now you're into stage 3 of the project, and as I would have said at the start of the semester too, this moves quite quickly this time around, right? So since this semester is condensed, it isn't the full 14 weeks, that means that this project moves quite quickly. So you're already moving into stage 3, you're already going to be getting into the production stage of your projects and really start making those great high quality assets that you set just a handful of weeks ago when you would have first proposed your projects. So with that, I'll go ahead and jump into Blackboard here. And first, of course, I will open up the critical path just to see where we're at, how things are looking. So here we are, right? You can see weeks 1 and 2 is when you were putting together stage 1, proposing your project, developing your plan. Weeks 3 through 5, you were working on stage 2. These were when you would have had your supervisor meeting and you would have been doing your pre-production work, with stage 2 due here during week 5. Now we're into stages 3 and 4. So weeks 6 through 8 will be the production stage, where you will be working on production work and having your remote team meeting. So you would have connected, hopefully, with your remote team as well. And having y'all meet as a remote team when I do those individual check-ins with you is also a way to kind of force y'all to kind of know that each other exists. And you could also always use those Teams rooms too to meet if you would like. Those links are there available for you to use. So stage 3 due week 8, and then you can see week 9, boom, stage 4 due. And as you know from last time around, that is your Behance case study. So you'll have 1 week to put that case study together. So that's why it's really important that you finish your production work here by the end of stage 3, so that you're not finishing it up at the same time of putting together your case study. And I know that stage 4 is finalize and deliver. The finalize is really just minor tweaks here and there. Maybe you need to upload your video to YouTube or something like that, right? Things that are there to help put your case study together. That's really what stage 4 is all about. So it's happening quite quickly. Now, something that's really important that I'm probably going to bring up a couple times in this video is between weeks 7 and 8 is reading week. So technically, on calendar wise, you'll have basically 4 weeks to be working during stage 3. However, I'm not condoning or telling you to be working on this project over reading week. Ideally, you will not have to do so. But for those of you who may find that time helpful to catch up, maybe if you need to or anything like that, you can, but I'm not requiring or expecting people to be using their reading week working on this project, because reading week is supposed to be a time for you to relax and decompress from the semester and all of your schoolwork. So that being said, this is due right after reading week. So how you want to use that time is up to you. Again, there's freedom here with this course and how you complete your projects. So that's the critical path, gives you a sense of what's going on. Now we'll check out the stage 3 production area of the course here on Blackboard. Develop your assets using the basis of work from the pre-production stage. So like I've talked about before, each stage of this project feeds into the next. So your proposal and plan would have fed into the pre-production stage, and now the pre-production stage will feed into the production stage. And the more work you do on a particular stage, the easier the following stage tends to be. So, an overview of Stage 3. You've now reached Stage 3 production of your multimedia project. The goal of this stage is to bring your pre-production plans from Stage 2 to life, transforming your ideas into a finished product. At this stage, you'll be spending a lot of time in relevant design software putting together your assets. So I always say this, but ideally in the pre-production stage, you wouldn't have been spending a bunch of time in After Effects, in Figma, in Premiere, whatever it is you're using for your production work. But now is the time to do so. You have all your sketches, you have the framework developed from the pre-production stage. Now get into your design software and start making the things, right? Purpose of Stage 3. This stage focuses on executing your ideas and creating the content of your final project. You will use these sketches, storyboards, scripts, wireframes, etc. developed in the pre-production stage to guide your work. Conduct self-learning, any more YouTube tutorials or various other resources you need to consult to advance your skill set while you work on your production assets, right? Remember that this course isn't just meant to be a repetition of skills you already know, but it's meant to push you to develop new skills. So while you're editing or working on things, check out tutorials of stuff to add in there that expands your skill set with whatever tool in software you are using is. If you encounter challenges during production, you can contact me, your professor, seek feedback from peers, which you'll be asked to do, or use tools like ChatGPT to brainstorm solutions. This is also an opportunity to develop your adaptability, right? So coming across problems and then knowing how to solve them independently is very important. So you might come across some issues here in the production stage that you find yourself needing to get past. But I am always here as a resource, of course, for you to reach out to. Key takeaway: the more prepared you are from your pre-production work, the more efficient and effective your production stage will be. Instead of getting stuck in the details, refer back to your plans to keep your project on track. This ensures you remain aligned with your creative vision as you turn your ideas into reality. Now you might find, you have a storyboard, and then as you're working in After Effects, you want to tweak some things here or there. That's normal. That's bound to happen. But you do generally want to be sticking to the overall structure and idea that you put forth in your pre-production stage so you can show how your project developed over time. Stage 3 breakdown. It is just one part this time, lasting 3 weeks, like I said. So Stage 3, weeks 6 to 8, you'll complete your production work and you will complete your peer feedback session, your remote team meeting. And of course, with this submission, you'll also have the associated timesheet of your hours that you worked on this project and an updated project plan checking off the tasks you've completed. You'll also include those in your submission to just ensure that everything is getting updated and moving forward with your project. Peer feedback guidelines. So you are required to meet with your assigned remote team during Stage 3, weeks 6 through 8 of your project to discuss and share your project work. So at any time during Stage 3 is when you should be meeting with your remote team. That could be immediately as soon as it starts. That could be later on, a couple weeks from now. But make sure that you are connected with your remote team so you can coordinate that and schedule it, right? You do have classes on campus together, I'm presuming, so you can always meet after one of those classes. You can set a time to meet online, but everyone should be connected and be present during those meetings. Follow these guidelines to ensure a successful meeting. Schedule the meeting. Coordinate with your remote team members to set a meeting time and platform, online or in person. Since all team members share the same course schedule, consider scheduling the meeting during that time for convenience. So meaning that everyone in your remote team should have the same block of 3 hours on Monday associated with this course, so you can just plan it in that time because that's when everyone should ideally be free. Prepare for peer feedback. Use the provided peer feedback form to structure your discussion and feedback during the meeting. I'll open that in a minute. Document your meeting. Take a photo as proof that your meeting took place. Online meeting, take a screenshot of everyone there. In-person meeting, take a selfie with your team and attach this photo to the peer feedback form. There's a spot for it there in the form. And submit it. Each team member must submit their own peer feedback form as part of their Stage 3 submission. Additionally, record the meeting details in your timesheet, including the duration of the meeting. So you can put an hour there, however long it took. Tip, use these peer feedback sessions as a way to strengthen professional relationships with your colleagues, right? Talk to one another also just about how you're doing, how are things going along, how are your other courses. Use it as an opportunity to connect. If you fail to meet with your team, you'll still need to gather feedback from them at a later time and use a late waiver in your submission if it's past the deadline. This should hopefully just not be the case for anyone, so just please meet with your team on time and make sure you are there with your classmates, your colleagues. The peer feedback form here, it's the same as last semester actually, I believe. So use this peer feedback form to gather feedback on your work from peers. Remember, you don't send your group mates this form and say, hey, fill this out for me. You share your work and then record the feedback yourself. So make sure to include your name, the remote team number that you're in, your peers' names, and the date of the meeting. Step 1, sharing work. First, share your project work with your team and get them up to speed, right? Okay, here's what I propose to do this semester. Here's my pre-production work. Here's where I currently am at in the production stage. Communicate your project goals with your team and what you hope to get out of this project with examples of your work showing how far along you are in the process. Then, gathering feedback. Ask your peers the questions below and write down their responses. What aspects of my project work did you find most effective or impressive? What areas of my work could be improved or refined? How well does my work meet the objectives and goals of this project? And do you have any additional suggestions or ideas to help enhance my project as I continue working on it? That could be even thoughts on how they could best format their case study, right? Or showcase their work at that point in time. These are very broad questions. It's basically, what works, what could be improved, is this on a path towards success, and any additional suggestions. A part of this very broad approach to feedback as well is because you are working on such different projects. It can be hard to create very specific questions to ask when you have such varied projects you're working on. So this is just a more general approach to feedback, but you should still hopefully get good insight from your peers, good perspectives from other people. And I noted last semester, I think students got a lot of value out of feedback from their peers, which helped them on their projects, which is great to see. And then step 3, don't forget proof. Include a picture here, a selfie or a screenshot showing you and your peers meeting. So then that leads to the Stage 3 submission, which is pretty straightforward. Once again, a timesheet of the hours spent on your project during these weeks. Make sure you're always keeping track of that. Your updated project plan, like I said, checking off tasks throughout Stage 3 and then exporting it and uploading it here. The peer feedback form, you can access the link here as well to fill it out. And then examples of pre-production work. Once again, this is just a general template you can use to show your work and how it associates to your various work tasks. Work items in your timesheet should reflect the following tasks. Production work, specify what that is exactly. Editing video, organizing footage, creating mid-fidelity, high-fidelity wireframes, whatever it is you're working on. You can also include there, tutorials, self-directed learning that you were doing at that point in time. And then also your remote team meeting. Include that in your timesheet as well, as it does take time and it is something you are completing for this class. And that's it, right? Quite straightforward. It's just doing your production work and meeting with your remote team and getting feedback on where you're at. Those are the main objectives for you over these next few weeks. And it did say in the critical path, I don't know if I brought it up, but in week 8, I am planning to do a drop-in session. So that allows for another point of contact. It'll be before Stage 3 is due on that Monday, most likely. I'll let you know if anything changes for you to drop in and have any questions answered about your project at that point in time. One of these Mondays is also technically a holiday, I think, possibly week 6 or week 7, so you can keep that in mind as well. But since this is a self-directed project, you should be able to have some time elsewhere in the week to be working on this. And I think there was one more thing I wanted to say. Oh, I'll just show you here in the calendar. If we look at the due dates in a month format, right here, stage 2 due February 10th, and then you'll see 1 week after that, 17th. 2 weeks after that is the 24th. 3 weeks after that is the 3rd. This is reading week. Oh, hopefully that's reading. From what I understand, that's reading week, as long as my calendars are correct. And then you have stage 3 due here, March 10th. So technically a month time, but one of those weeks is reading week technically. So once again, I don't advise you to wait until reading week to do all of your production work. I recommend that you do it outside of reading week so that you can actually enjoy that time and relax. And then you'll see, right, stage 4 is due just the week after. So it's going to happen quite quickly, but this is a decent amount of time for you to be working on your production work, developing these assets, and there aren't too many other things you're having to do in the course other than this project. You know, you have to meet with your peers, but that should actually help you in this whole process. So that covers it for stage 3. As always, I wish you luck as you are working on these grand, fantastic assets for your final project. And as I say to everyone, I'm always available via Blackboard Messenger. If you have any questions or inquiries, even if you would like to meet again or something like that, you can always send me a message and we can organize that. Otherwise, you can wait for the drop-in session as well for me to look over anything or talk with you and stuff like that. So with that, yeah, best of luck and have fun.